Broadcasting live.
Good evening, everyone. This is a special council meeting. It's Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, in the evening, 7 p.m. This meeting is being conducted both in chambers and by means of electronic participation as permitted by Section 238, subsection 3.1 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, and the Town of Mono Procedural Bylaw 2020-42. We have a number of residents who've come out for the budget discussions this evening, and welcome everyone. And there may well be others online joining us as well. The meeting can be observed as it occurs or later on the website. Just a reminder, the emergency exits are behind the council chamber. Members of council are free to disclose pecuniary interest at this point or at any point in the course of the meeting. And I'd like to start with the Indigenous land acknowledgement. We would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the town of Mono resides within the traditional territory and ancestral lands of the Tiatonte, Adjourn, Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe peoples. We also acknowledge that the town of Mono resides within the treaty lands named under Treaty 18, the Nottawasaga Purchase of 1818. These traditional territories upon which we live and learn are steeped in rich Indigenous history and traditions. It is with this statement that we declare to honor and respect the past and present connection of Indigenous peoples with this land, its waterways and resources. I have a motion that council approves agenda session 2025 as circulated. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Magdalow, seconded by Councillor Capes. Any issues with that motion? Seeing none, motion is carried. Oh, sorry, Elaine, my apologies.
No issue with the agenda, except to let everybody know that I will be leaving at 8:30. I can't avoid it.
Thank you. So we have one routine matter that we need to address as time is of the essence. Forest management harvesting tender. And if I could ask Matt to give us a quick breakdown on this.
Yep, thanks Mayor Krillman. So in line with the forest management plan that the town prepared a few years ago, we're moving forward with the marking of the forest tracts for good forest management practices, and happy to report that we had another good bid. The same contractor from last year bid. It was slightly less per cord this year, but it results in approximately $62,000 in revenue for the town. The work will be conducted hopefully over the winter months as it did last year, and yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Fred?
We have in the next item, the budget, we have $14,000 showing for forest revenues. I assume this contract wasn't included in that draft budget, Les. So this is found money. 62,000.
The treasurer, for the record, is nodding.
Yes, Your Worship, nodding.
Okay.
This tender was not included in the budget. Until council approves it, then we can put it on the budget.
Good, thank you.
Let's find more of these. Any other questions? Ralph?
Just for clarification, is this a selective cutting or clear cutting, or what's being done?
Thanks, Councillor Magdalow. The forester for the town of Mono marked all the trees about 2 months ago, so they're selective. Yeah.
Is this an additional question, if I may? Is this what is the end goal for these forestry tracts?
It's a good question, and I think those are meetings that we have with the forester every year. Usually we meet up with them and we kind of work through those plans. We're going to keep there's a lot of sickness in some of the red pine that are in there right now, so he's working on trying to get those out of there before they're no good. Some of them that we could probably add some planting, like the Anderson tract several years ago. We put some red pine in there, but the idea is to develop them as hardwood over time.
One of the goals of many of these forestries that are monocultures was to make them into a diversified forest. Is there any thought about that?
Yeah, that's certainly something that I've been talking with the forester about, and looking at other properties within Mono that is owned by the town of Mono to develop these properly. And I know the county of Simcoe operates, and the county of Dufferin also operates these lands as a source of revenue, but also a diversified forest, like you mentioned, with native species that are appropriate for the.
Thank you.
Could I just add something? Oh, sorry, Melinda.
Melinda, and then Fred?
Thank you, Your Worship. Matt, so the number says 15 cords per acre, and then the total for these 3 tracks is going to be 46 acres.
There's 3 tracks that are included in this.
Correct.
And
And,
then there's
and-
the total of 43 or 46 acres.
So some here, some there,
Yes,
some here.
yeah.
How many acres, do we know off the head? How many acres are the 3 tracks together?
Total?
Yeah, like are they 100-acre plots? No, they're not,
I don't
right?
think that they're all quite 100 acres. Mike might know I don't know the exact number.
Sorry, which tracks are they, Matt?
Anderson, Relisea, and 1926.
1926 is roughly 100. The Anderson is roughly 100, and the Relassie, I'm going to say 12 acres max, but
It's
probably
smaller.
7. It's a tiny plot of land caused by the deviation of Mono Center Road.
Right, okay, great, thank you very much.
Fred?
Just to answer Ralph's question, particularly in the 1926 track, which has been thinned a couple of times, and particularly in the eastern end of it, Ralph, there's still a lot of pine left, but that forest has been infilled by hardwoods, beeches and maples. It's over half hardwoods now. So these plantation forests of pines will, given enough time, revert back to mixed hardwood forests.
I have some experience with that, as you know.
Yes.
I think it's a good goal, I think, a more natural forest goal. But sometimes they need some assistance, the planting. I put 2,000 trees, hardwoods and conifers in 2 years ago. Mainly the trees that we were getting spontaneously were not the beeches or maples. They were the Manitoba maple and black cherry.
Well, I just repeat, the 1926 tract is doing very well on its own.
Oh, that's great to hear.
I have a motion that council for the town of Mono accepts the average purchase price per cord, inclusive of HST, of $89.73 as town revenue from Magoo's transport of Arthur, Ontario, to harvest trees as part of good forest management practices. Do I have a mover? Elaine Cape, seconded by Melinda Davey. Any further questions, discussion?
I just ask one more question.
Yes?
If you were just to go and talk to Magoo and buy a cord, how much is that? Do we know? Today? That's what I was going to say, it's $300 or $400, isn't it?
Well, this is softwood, right? This isn't hardwood. This is mostly pine.
So
it's
$200?
It's pressure. It's going to pressure treat.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. There's still value there because it's consistent with last year, and as you see the bids, the 3 bid, it's still fairly competitive.
Right.
So I don't think there's anything caliper wise to meet hydro pole specs.
Okay.
I think they're last year in the Aikens track, I believe it was. There was some larger on the end of 5th line north of Mono Center Road. We had some, or the 1926, there's some larger poles in there, but most of this stuff will be going to pressure treat, I would imagine.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
So to be precise, it's cord equivalent,
Yeah.
and a cord being 4 by 4 by 8, and it's cord equivalent, and the lengths might be quite different than
Yes.
what
Yeah.
we see in a
Yeah.
cord for firewood, as an example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the motion on the floor. Any opposed to the motion? Motion is carried. And that takes us to the budget. And just before we get into the budget in any great detail, I just want to review, for the benefit of the public, the process that we've followed here in Mono for many years. and that is when we start budget discussions, we ask staff to prepare a budget based on what their best and most considered opinion is, having to do with, in a perfect world, what we would be replacing, what we would be spending, what bridges we would be attending to, what sections of road we would be attending to. And needless to say, the list of wants is usually greater. In fact, I can guarantee you it's always greater than the capacity of our taxpayers to address. Council then goes through a process of scrutinizing the list, making its own amendments, usually reducing, although I have seen sometimes when money is added, but usually reducing the budget. And then that brings us to this evening, where we want to get your reaction to the budget and where you think we should be going. But it's always a challenge to try and assure everyone that we're not going to have a 50% tax increase. We're not going to literally implement absolutely everything that is recommended to us. We have to make critical choices as to what is a priority, what is not a priority, and what we can ultimately afford. I'm happy to have other members of council speak to it as well. Melinda?
Thank you, Mayor. That's a great historical review of how we've done the budget. But it was my understanding that this year, actually, the budget that was brought to us first was not the wish list and the perfect world one. It was the what we absolutely must do, because we are in a good position that we have had a asset management already mandated by the provincial government and so on, but we have an asset management program or plans and in the works, so that we're knowing exactly where we are with our road study and so on. We're knowing all the things that need to be done. So this year was a little bit different. There was the first budget, which maybe you saw, that had a red column of, okay, if you have to, then we could get rid of these ones too, but they will need to be done.
Well, it's no different than previous years, where the first run at it shows everything that staff believes needs to be attended to, and clearly that was high, as it was last year, and it has been reduced by the identification of items that I think are indicated in red that we could defer. I mean, we could defer those items. And now we're at the point where we need public input as to whether or not the amount that is recommended currently is acceptable, or whether or not we need to reduce it. So it's not dissimilar to what we've done in past years. Fred?
Yeah, and I just would like to give a shout out to staff that when they present their very first budget to us, it isn't just a wish list made up of pleasant thoughts. They base their recommendations to us on the basis of good, sound technical studies. We had Burnsides do a road study for us, and they said, if you want to keep your roads up to a certain level, this is how much you have to spend. Then, as Melinda pointed out, we had an asset management plan, which is dictated to us by the government that we have to have such a plan. And they said we have to put this much money every year into the budget. We're not, in fact, doing that. So I just want you to understand that when staff gives us their opinion as to what the first budget should be, it's a good, hard, professional, technical opinion. And I congratulate staff for being so professional on it. We don't always accept professional opinions, but I thank you for doing that.
So, Les, can you give us just a brief rundown of the context of the budget in terms of some of our budgetary pressures, in terms of inflation of various items, where we stand with regard to provincial and federal grants, and there is a presentation that our treasurer does that is available for people to look at, that puts the entire budget into a context for us. If you could just quickly review that.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. As far as the pressure goes regarding Ontario grants, the presentation that was made to council at the last meeting showed we have two basic grants that the town relies on from the province. It's called one grant, OCIF, Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund. The other one is OMPF, and that stands for Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund. Not much of a partnership as they keep cutting the grant. I presented to council, if we receive the same amount of OCIF funding in 2022, and if we receive the same amount of funding for the OMPF grant in 22, if we receive that today, we would have $664,000 more to work with. But because of provincial cuts, we have $664,000 less in our revenues from the province. Again, an example, both grants, the OMPF grant and the OCIF grant, were both cut again for 2026. So there is that pressure on us for not receiving provincial grants. Other cost pressures, we received a letter from the OPP. The letter said the maximum increase would be 11%. So at this point, I have budgeted the 11% in case we do get the worst case scenario. Other pressures, insurance, property insurance across the board, replacement values are, that cost is 10%. Liability has stable, liability insurance has stable increases of 5%. We have a big pressure in our fire areas, mainly the Caledon fire area. The agreement we have with Caledon is a cost per hour fire call. So virtually we pay for the total number of hours that they turn out, approximately just over $4,000 per hour, versus our fire boards with Rosemont and Shelburne, or with the town of Orangeville, we have a flat fee. So we know that's the maximum we'll pay, whereas with Caledon, it's a pressure on a number of calls. So the last couple of years, we've had some pretty large fires that are approaching $90,000 per call. So that is a pressure. Road maintenance, basically materials to keep our roads, our gravel roads or paved roads, that cost pressure is approximately 6%. And vehicle maintenance, so for parts on our graders, our tandems, or even our utility pickup trucks, that pressure is approximately 3%. A little better than previous years, but it's still above the 2% of inflation that government is saying CPI is at. I think that's basically the key points for the cost pressures, are external factors that is very difficult to control.
Thank you.
Can I give a perspective?
I'm going to turn it over to the audience because that's why they came here. So does anyone have any comments on the budget as you understand it, or any questions that you have? If you could just come to the mic and give us your name, and we'll do our best to answer your questions and comment on your suggestions.
Yeah, hi, I'm Wayne Evans. Yeah, I've looked at the budget. I mean, the 15% surprised me, and I know it's a starting point, but last year was 13%, and it was, I don't think it got much lower than that. So I appreciate the pressures that you're talking about.
Oh, Wayne, could you just a little closer to the mic?
I think we have to look at the, you know, you have to look at each line item, and we have to start cutting stuff. I mean, the recreational budget, I don't know why I'm paying for others to play tennis or pickleball. I mean, that should be user fee. I think that has to increase the amount of people who are using the facilities should be paying for them. You know, why am I don't ask, you know, come to the town and say, pay for my recreation. And I don't think I should be paying for others. And that should be user fee based. Last year I was questioned that about the paving of the tennis courts, and I was told that it was going to be split between the pickleball and the tennis clubs, and that proved not to be true. And in this budget, it's not true either. There's $8,000, I think, that's been requested for resurfacing courts. Outdoor chess table, 5,000? You know, because, you know, it's nice in an ideal world, but, you know, everybody's cutting. We're cutting personally at home, and the town has to as well. So, I didn't get a 15% raise this year. So I think everything like that has to be looked at. I think we have to, I know we don't have a lot of committees, but I think they have to be looked at. You know, are they contributing? You know, is there stuff coming back? Just not doing stuff for the sake of, you know, political points. We have to do stuff that the community needs, you know, policing, fire, roads. You know, it's, this stuff has to be looked at in more cruel fashion. So that's my input.
Thank you. Does anyone wish, or maybe hold questions until we have a few comments, and then we can make note of the what we've been told, and then we can weigh in on that? Okay.
Well, I'd like to comment, but this is my overview comment that you're not sure.
Well,
you
go
want.
ahead, go ahead, but I defer to the audience.
Excuse me, Deputy Mayor Nix, if you could use your mic, thanks.
Yeah, I was going to point out to the audience that when I looked at the budget, and by the way, Wayne, I agree with some of the things you've said. What impressed me was, if you look at the latest figures after staff has made the cuts, total expenses are 16.5 million, which is up over the 2025 budget by 7.2%. Not great, but not out of this world. Here's where the problem is. If you look at total revenues, not tax revenues from 2026, but the total revenues from our fees, from our grants, from money we can take out of reserves, and from the surplus last year, it's down from last year by 9-point-some-odd%. So there's the problem. Expenses are going up by 7.5%, and revenues from non-tax sources are dropping. That's why we're in a bit of trouble. And Les has pointed out some of the reasons for those big drops. But by the way, on your main point about having to cut, and particularly in the recreation department, sorry, Kimberly, I agree with some of the things you said. Actually, yeah, and there was one other thing I just remembered I forgot to mention, is that, yeah, I know it's hard to cut all those things, but I think it's at a point that we have to. There was another line item, it was actually for the, I think it was 2023, like the cost of bylaw enforcement was like it was $217,000 and the revenue was $18,000. That doesn't make any sense. I don't care whether you're running a town or you're running a business. You don't spend 217 to bring in 18. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Let's go to the next person in the audience who would like to make a statement or ask us a question.
Dell, come on, Dell.
We're just observing.
Frank, nothing?
You don't want to see us talk, do you?
Oh, come on, somebody's got to have something.
Then I'm going to defer to council to say a few things, and then maybe somebody can come forward if they wish. You raised two very good points about user fees. We did instruct staff to review all of our user fees, and we have increased a great many of them. There was one that we did not implement, and that was for fire permits. And there was a suggestion that we charge for fire permits, and we decided on balance to put that aside, at least for the moment, because obviously we want people to get fire permits. We want to be able to communicate with them. The issue of bylaw enforcement does not pay for itself, and it may never pay for itself. But one of the reasons it doesn't pay for itself is that the fines that we get to impose are set by either the province or the judiciary, and they are in some cases 30, 40 years old. Ridiculous. So when we get a complaint from the neighborhood about a particular property and we lay charges, The result is, I wouldn't say it's a waste of time. We've actually had some great success in cleaning up properties. But in terms of realizing a dollar return, it's not there. Melinda?
Thank you, Mayor, for bringing up that. The bylaw is not, it shouldn't be a make money thing. It's that we have some bylaws and people need to follow them. And when they don't follow them, yes, the fines are very low. But the reason why it costs so much money is because the people who don't follow the rules are also obstinate enough to need to be taken to court. In which case, then, you know, the costs escalate because we can't defend our, right?
There wasn't legal fees in there, that's a different line item. I understand that, when I read the budget, that's a different line item,
Okay.
the legal fees, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, I understand what the enforcement of it,
Yeah.
the way you're talking, I know.
Sorry, I can't hear the speaker.
Okay.
I understand about the enforcement part of it in terms of the clarification there. It takes, you know, because the people that are going to abuse it, it's not, they're not going to react, the ones that are
Yeah.
ignoring the rules, right? So I appreciate that part of it, but the legal part of it, that wasn't, that 217 that I mentioned from the previous year was not, the legal fees weren't in there.
So
They were about 45,000, a separate line item.
So it was our salaries then, is that what he's talking about? Is it our salaries?
It's a salary line item.
It would be salaries for bylaw enforcement and parking enforcement.
So do we want people to work for you for free? I mean, like, because it does
No, I don't want
cost.
to work from free, but I just seems like an awful lot of money to in terms of for that kind of return. But you give me a bit more of understanding
'Cause the other-
of what it is. I understand what you're saying of it, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Because the other thing that I'm struggling with how to address it with you, because you clearly are very upset about the idea that recreation is something that everybody in society needs to contribute to, so for the betterment of everybody. And that is kind of the same as bylaw enforcement. If it was all just, you know, everybody gets to do whatever they want on their property and whatever, and nobody had any recourse, the ones that are the worst, of course, are the unsightly properties and so on. But there are other things that neighbors don't get along with and need society together, us to make it better for them. And so I was trying how to explain to you about that recreation user fees are important. And as the mayor has commented, we've increased them, and quite frankly, we could increase them more. And why we held back on a fire permit that was $30, I don't, when we need money, I don't know, but that we did. Damn it. The user fees are never going to cover the price of the services that we provide. And so there are just some things that need to collectively us all pay for. And so bylaw is an obvious one, but I certainly feel that recreation is an obvious one too, but.
Okay, everybody's,
So
has their own opinion. That's
Wayne,
fine.
if I could give you two examples of where the bylaw inspection process has worked. There was a property on the fifth line that was a junkyard. It was a certifiable junkyard.
We got a few of them around.
This one was the worst. And we're talking, I don't know how much scrap metal and junk that was back in the back of that property. A hazard to neighbors, an eyesore eventually to the neighborhood. And we have effectively cleaned that up. And we've been able to realize money from the cleanup eventually, because the costs were put on taxes and so forth. The other thing that we've done, and it's near and dear to my heart, are the transport trailer yards that could be developing as they have in Caledon.
Yeah.
And we've been successful in swatting a few of those away. We still have them. When we see them, we try and get in there before they become a big problem. But and Caledon does not skimp on bylaw enforcement, and yet they've been overwhelmed by transport trailer yards in agricultural areas, which is really sad. We had one up on the 30th Side Road that literally covered a field of winter wheat. And we succeeded in getting those transport trailers out of there through good bylaw enforcement.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Fred? Could I just point out to Wayne too, and I agree with a lot of what you said, but one thing, and it doesn't show up in the 2026 figures, we rent out our two halls, Mono Community Center and Menorah.
Yeah, and I saw that they've increased the
We have.
proposed increased rates. I don't know if they were approved, but I saw the proposal.
They have, but that's been, 5 years since, anyway, Kimberly did a market study, we increased them by 20%, but you won't find those revenues reflected in our 2026 budget because most of the hall rentals for next year have already been booked. Well, most, I forget the percentage, and they would be paying the 2025 rates. So they won't show up until 2027, but in terms of user fees, yes, we are actively looking at them, and certainly in the case of hall rentals, yeah, it's 20% increase.
Good, good, thank you.
Anyone with any questions or comments?
Short meeting.
No?
Well, this isn't the last budget meeting. We have at least one more, if not two more, but certainly one more. I know individual members of council have things that they want to probably cut from the budget. I know I do. I know of other areas that are going to receive great scrutiny. I suspect that the proposed increase is going to go down. By the same token, it's not inconceivable that there will be arguments that we spend more money on various things. But at the end of the day, I can assure you that we are going to have a very fruitful debate on it. And, you know, I think I certainly have heard from the public that a 13.7% increase should not be on. Contrast that with some of the pressures we have from our roads needs study and from our other studies that have recently been presented to us. So we have this delicate balancing act where we have to decide what we can afford versus what we absolutely need to do to keep our infrastructure in good shape. Does any member of council have anything else? Ralph, and then Melinda.
The present tax rate increase is at 13.7%. I have a suggestion that I'd like you to consider to decrease this. If you have your budget open, go to page 13, notes to budget. So one of the major expenses is the maintenance of our roads. And the major maintenance of a road is by pulverizing the top and reapplying asphalt, usually in two settings, 1 year apart. And if the road deteriorates badly, then we have to do some work on the base. So what Matt has taught us is that if you wait too long, then it's going to cost you more money. So it's a delicate balancing act of when to do the work before it becomes more expensive to repair the base. We've got four roads here that are listed under the note. One is the Dufferin Road 16. The Mono Amaranth Road from Dufferin 16 to 10, and that's for $600,000. The second one, leave number 2 alone because the second one is the line 3, and he's broken it into 2 sections there. But basically, it involves all of the line 3 from Highway 9 up to the 5th Side Road, and the total of those 2 is $375 plus $475, or $850,000. And then in addition to that, we have the Mono Amaranth Town Line, and we've removed that one. That's $600,000. So the question is, can we defer these roads further without affecting our ability to reconstruct them at a later date? And I'm suggesting that we can, and that we should consider removing all three of these for 600,000 and 850,000 and deferring them until another time. Now, I'm not a road engineer, but I do drive on roads, and I drove on both these roads today, and they are not bad. There are a couple of sections where they would need to be patched, and there are cracks that need to be taken care of. And my feeling is that this could be done for at least another year or two, and without harming their ability to do the eventual pulverizing and asphalt laying. So what I'm proposing is that we consider not doing any of this work this year. That would be 600 plus 850.
So to put this into context, and I don't know whether we want to move motions in a meeting that was held for public input, or whether we would defer until our next budget meeting. I'm in the hands of council on that. But Les, just for context, it's about $105,000 represents a 1% up or down on the budget.
108,
108.
108,000, yes.
So for every $108,000 that we reduce the budget by, shaves off 1% in terms of any increase. That figure has grown over the years, so I had to check. Elaine, your hand was up.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I have 5% that I would like to remove from the budget, but I didn't think that we were bringing those forward at this meeting. So if we are taking these to the next budget meeting, I'm happy to do that and wait. And I would love to hear more public input. And I thank Wayne Evans for his comments and appreciate hearing those. And I think that, you know, we're in a position where we're forced into examining opportunity to introduce change. And so I think that's the way we need to look at this, and we need to consider user fees, club fees, you know, for things like the tennis and the pickleball. And also, you know, and I know Kim does a great job of this, but across the board, we need to increase the grant applications for funding that is available, other than what the two funds that are so gracefully given to us from the province. But that Les mentioned earlier, that we're, you know, upwards of almost $700,000 less than what we used to get. So I think we do need to re-examine what we call excellent service, because we do provide excellent service. And so maybe we've provided such excellent service that we can now step back and say, well, we can provide a little savings if we do things like not invest. And I'm going to say this, and I know, Kim, you're not going to be happy with me, but I will keep saying it, that we do not spend $250,000 on a playground. And so that we need to just revisit what we call the level of service for specific things and adjust accordingly, because we can't put this all on the back of the one taxpayer, which is all our residents.
Just Ralph and then Fred. I think to be fair, motions to increase or decrease the budget, we could hold off until the next meeting. I think that would be the way to go. But
Thank you.
What you're seeing here is what we have done every year, and that is look at individual expenditures to see whether or not they are justified, first and foremost, and second, whether we can defer them. So we've heard from one member of council the view that we can defer some of the paving that has been identified. Eventually, we'll have to do it. The question is, do we have to do it right away? Ralph, and then Fred, and then Melinda.
So my suggestion would bring the tax rate increase down to 0. It's a major increase, a decrease, I should say. I'm interested, since I brought it up at this time, to hear if the rest of the council members have any thoughts on this, and I think we should hear from Matt too.
Well, again, I'm trying to steer the formal process of reducing or increasing the budget to the next meeting. I think this meeting was called for the benefit of the residents, and I see hands up in the back there. So maybe we're going to get some comments at the mic, so thank you.
These things sometimes scare me.
Yeah,
Can everybody hear me?
yes.
Okay.
Just close to the
So I'm just
mic.
trying to get my head around
Your
capital budget
name,
versus
please?
consumable
You're-
versus maybe there's other budgets. And right now, we're just looking at capital budget.
Actually, we're looking at both, but
Okay, do we have a list of all the other ones, like
the budget is available online.
the maintenance budget and the
Yes,
consumable?
everything,
So
everything.
we're talking about all of those
Yeah,
things.
and if we could have your name for the record. I know who you are, but could you just state your name just for the record?
I beg your pardon, Ann Yeager.
Thank you, Ann.
So we should have had a chance to review all of those before this meeting.
Yeah, it's all there in the doc.
It's been available for a couple of weeks.
Okay, so we have to go and look at those, and then we may have further questions. Thank you.
And don't hesitate to get in touch with us individually between now and our next discussion of the budget, which is occurring on, is it November?
Be the Wednesday, November
26th.
26th?
November 26th, next Wednesday, or, pardon me, it's not next Wednesday, but yeah, it is. So if you see something in the budget, please let us know what your views are on it.
I do want to make a comment. I think the gentleman who was concerned about the costs and users, and I would just like to say that, to suggest that because some people play pickleball or tennis, there should be a user fee, and maybe that will be a decision that the council will make. But if we're talking user fees, there are other things that are used by the public, such as playgrounds. And to suggest that if you don't have children to play at the playground, you shouldn't have to pay, and I think that's, of course, not what I would propose. We all contribute as taxpayers and residents of Mono, and we hit different people and different interests and hope we hit them all, whether it's playing ping pong, or maybe it's, maybe they like to play cards, or they like to bring their grandchildren to the playground, and maybe some people like to play tennis. So we hope that our recreation budget does take all those different groups of people into consideration. And I just don't want people to leave with the idea, oh my goodness, it costs so much for people to play pickleball, to play tennis. It costs a lot for playgrounds. It costs a lot for education. It costs a lot for driving on roads. If you don't have a car, should you have to pay for that? That's sort of the suggestion I was hearing from that gentleman. And I don't want people to go away just thinking, oh, yeah, well, those people should be paying more.
And you make a good point about the diversity of our programming, and it isn't all capital. There's a lot of programming of different activities that the town does, and we're very proud of it. And some of it is, in fact, most of it is very successful, and has a lot of buy-in by our residents and even probably from outside the community as well.
And to follow up on that, there are some of the clubs in this town that do a great deal of maintenance of the equipment and run many of the programs for the town. And so, yes, there's a cost for some of those facilities, but there's a big savings on maintenance for the club members, and also members of those clubs do pay in the long term for those facilities. Just wanted to clarify that. I
Yeah, we
appreciate your time.
appreciate it. Thank you, Ann. Fred? Melinda and then Fred, sorry.
I was before Melinda.
Okay,
Go ahead, Fred.
go ahead, Fred.
I think I was before you, but, okay, here's something that always bothers me every year with the budget, and I want to ask the public a question. And by the way, if you want to see a counselor get shot down in flames, you're about to see it, okay? Every year when I look at the budget, I look at the cost of us running the Mono Community Center and Menora Center. Just let me give you some figures. Mono Community Center in Mono Center is going to cost us $337,000 this year, or that's in the budget. What are our total revenues from that building? 81,000, 82,000. Okay, so the taxpayer's paying $255,000 to keep that building up. Menora, the cost this year is $261,000. Total revenues, $131,000. So the taxpayer is spending $130,000 to keep that building up. So that is 355, close to, I can't do the math, close to $400,000 our taxpayers are having to spend to keep those two buildings. And I'm always bothered by that. And I sometimes make a suggestion. This is where I get shot down, okay? We either board one of those buildings up or we try to sell one. Now, okay, I would like to hear the public's opinion. Is it worth us paying that much to keep those two buildings, those two community centers running? Or should we throw our hands up in the air and try to get rid of one? Has anyone in the public got an opinion on that?
Anyone like to address that?
No.
Oh, good, it's my turn now.
Okay. Melinda?
I don't want to hear from council on that.
Oh, we do have,
I wasn't going to, are you going to address his question?
good evening.
Good evening. I'm Doug Thompson. Well, to respond, I mean, I think absolutely we should get rid of one of them. They've been white elephants for years. And, I mean, the fact that it doesn't get any better in spite of efforts to try and increase the revenues and the rental revenues of those buildings, it just never happens. So every year, as Fred said, we sit here and we look at the major costs for running both of them. And maybe it's a luxury we can't afford to have two buildings, and they're both fine buildings. I mean, I've been at events at both of them, but maybe it has to come down to one. I did also want to ask a question about deferments to reserves. It seems each year council has used deferments to various reserves, and there's reserves all over the place, as you know, to try and get the tax rate down to make it more palatable to people. So I guess my question is, where are we with these reserves? Because every year it seems that we've deferred putting more money into these reserves, and you know, the old metaphor of kicking the can down the road. Have we come to the end of the road? Is next year, is there going to be some sort of recognition that all of a sudden these reserves aren't adequate anymore? I don't know, maybe council or the treasurer can make a qualitative statement on that?
Well, for less, I can tell you, you're absolutely right, but the reserves will still be here by next year. In fact, in the 2026 budget, we'll still have about $8 million in reserves by the end of the year. I think I'm ballpark, I think I'm right, Les.
That is correct, Deputy Mayor, but approximately half of that are development charges.
Yes.
So they're more constrained. They're not as, the council doesn't have the discretion on how to use them. They are project specific, but our resident here is making a very good point. Every year, our reserves are dwindling down as we don't contribute to them and we actually use them up. Like just a few years, like prior to this term of council, we had 14 million in reserves. So we were using our reserves quite aggressively during the peak pandemic years. So it's a very good comment that our reserves are I'm not saying they're getting wiped out, but they're not increasing and they're slowly going down. I mean, they're not increasing, but they're going down.
Thanks for that clarification. Yeah, they're running out, and we are about to have to borrow money to float. Has the agenda for tonight's meeting and has the whole budget in it, but it also has a couple of pages that the treasurer has brought to our attention, which I really would like to highlight for the public and ask if you've read these, to say the 2025 Dufferin residential tax rates of all of the municipalities. So did you guys see this? That everybody else's taxes are higher than ours, but ranging from 20%, 19.2%, up to 104% higher than Mono's. And so our tax rate is the lowest in the county. And when you then also look at the last 13 years of budget increases, so long before my time and before COVID, the budget increase every year has only been in the 1.3, 1.7. In the last couple of years, of course, the average gets skewed because last year we all of a sudden realized that it's not possible to keep it up this way. It's just not possible. So we went to the 13.3, which then gives you a 13-year average of, oh yeah, Mono's been over 3% increase every year. But it hasn't. It's been stagnant with repetitive pulling from reserves and not contributing back to the reserves. And so we have a new, the asset management plan, which I referred to, is coming down, and we had a workshop presentation this past council meeting, which I behoove you to have a look at, where we have $266 million worth of assets that we need to maintain, and we're quibbling over, a few $100,000 here. And so we're going to have to borrow an awful lot of money. And so that puts it on the future, the idea of, well, I don't want to pay for something that I don't use, or why should I pay today for the future? And it's like, wow, that's really short-sighted, and I didn't know that I lived in a world that was like that. I thought we lived where everybody looked after each other. So I'd like people to look at those numbers, and because the percentage increases, the other chart that Les has for us is the actual dollar value to say, taxes are going up 15%, this is unacceptable, and yet it really turns out to be a few $100s a year. And when you go to Costco to buy when the grandkids are coming to visit, and we spend easily $300 or $400 on food extras, it does, to me, puts it into perspective that we should be looking after the future of our town, not just this year.
Just before I recognize Frank, I'd like to say something about borrowing. We are debt-free. We've always been debt-free as far as I know. And we've had a debate amongst ourselves, and the deputy mayor has led the charge on the argument that there are some projects, not all projects, but some projects that are clearly for the benefit of the future and future generations. And maybe they should be shouldering some of those costs and not simply putting them on the backs of the people who are currently alive and kicking in Mono. So I think as we get to things like bridge replacements, as an example, we will look at the option of borrowing prudently. Mono is unique amongst municipalities that currently has no debt. I mean, and we've been somewhat proud of that over the years. Frank.
Good evening, Frank Flood, 25 Side Road, Mono. First off, thank you to both staff and council for the excellent draft budget. We have an old saying in risk management world, and it's called, the answers are easy, it's the questions that are hard. Do we borrow money? What do we borrow it for? I'm mostly up here to reflect and give feedback for Fred's, what I think is a very good point regarding the two buildings in Mono. Mono Center is part of the main settlement in Mono. So to undo a community center in the center of Mono would be probably unrealistic. So sitting back in the back row there, I reflected on that, and I said to my good friend Del, that really only leaves Menorah Park. Again, the answers are easy, it's the questions that are hard. What questions we should be asking? Menorah Park is only worth what somebody's willing to pay or lease. It's not this gold mine to get us out of trouble. So then I reflected again, well, maybe there's another way to look at it. Perhaps we need to have an open discussion and allow the people of Mono to come up with ideas on how to market. We don't need experts. We don't need people coming in with $50,000 fees to tell us how to market it. Perhaps we could market Menorah Park ourselves, because nobody's going to come in and just buy it. So my suggestion is we have discussions and an informal, no-cost think tank and get as many ideas. Social media has changed the world. Maybe we can use that to market Menorah Park in a bigger way than we have. A bigger way, a different way, whatever it takes. And there's a lot of smart people in Mono. I've noticed that. So an idea is priceless, and that may really help us do something with Menorah Park that we haven't considered yet. But I don't think you can undo Mono Center Community Park. Anyway, thank you very much. I look forward to the next budget meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. And Elaine, I saw your hand up.
Now, after that eloquent response from Mr. Flood, I forget what I was going to say. And maybe I can ask a clarifying question to Mr. Flood. When he says market Menorah Park, does he mean market it to sell it or market it to have greater use?
Greater use.
The answer was.
Okay, thank you very much.
Answer was greater use.
I have said in past years that we should, and this has got nothing to do with, this is not meant to be a negative comment towards staff at all, but they have other jobs to do, and recreation is bigger than just those two halls. And so I've asked the question previously, should we be outsourcing the actual bookings of those halls to a booking company so that we don't have that expense and maybe we get a broader reach? I'll just put that out there.
Can we ask Kim to just give us again because Menorah Park actually does pretty well with respect to bookings and so on. And we were discussing at the last budget meeting, one of the reasons why Mono Center is so low on the how much it makes, how much it costs balance, because there's no, people don't want to have a wedding where you can't have Wi-Fi music because everybody uses the streaming services and so on. So Menorah is in a better place because it's got better Wi-Fi. Whereas we do rent it out, like it's used all of the time, Menorah, right?
Menorah's rate of occupation is in the months from May through end of November is approximately 70%. Yes. We've done things to try and increase our rentals, such as on weekends, we noticed that when we were renting for a Saturday evening, a lot of people want to come in and rent on Fridays as well, so they don't have to set up on Saturdays for their event. So we knew that charging them the full rental rate on the Friday was going to be, plus the Saturday rate, was going to be too much. So we came up with a rate for, if you want early let-in, you can have that. It's going to now cost you $300, whereas before it used to cost $200. Now, you just agreed to, on our new rental rates, that was one of the ones that we did increase substantially, up to $300. Same thing for Sunday mornings, that we noticed that a lot of our functions didn't want at 2 a.m. in the morning have to clean up and leave. So we had very few rentals on Sundays. So we thought, okay, we're going to, if you want to come back in on Sunday, now we're charging you $300 to come back until noon on Sunday. So we're trying to take advantage of places where we did not see a lot of use happening and trying to make revenue on those areas. Just this last week, I've been in touch with our web content specialist staff member to talk about strategies, letting him know that I want to have a meeting with him on strategies of increasing our presence on the social media platforms for our halls. He has indicated to me that there are definite ways that we will be able to increase our presence. So I'm wanting to get into those nooks and crannies within our facilities, such as weekdays, where we don't have a lot of bookings. We have some, but there's a lot of room for meetings, a lot of room for nighttime business or family get-togethers. We have room for those in our facilities, both of our facilities. But right now, another thing that we're doing is we are increasing our programming, because the more people I get into the halls, the more opportunity I have to market them. When people see our halls, they all of a sudden go, I had no idea we had these here. So when Recreation is building up their portfolio of the programs that we're offering right now, such as our Senior Superstar program, and we get people into the halls, it is an absolute, in the back of my mind, I'm using that as a marketing tool. It's a great tool for increasing recreation opportunities, but for me, it's a real marketing tool, getting people into the halls.
We now have the benefit as well of the hotel next door.
Yes.
Which probably contributes to bookings. Any other questions from the audience? Any comments? Good evening, Dale.
Governor at the Airport Road. I'm not picking on you, Kim, so be sure of that. But I have a question. I noticed that there is a substantial, in the hundred thousands of dollars of capital expenses on those two halls. Are we renovating? What's going on? Like in the mono, how these are, I think if I remember off the top of my head, it's $400,000.
Yes. Don't I wish we were renovating? No, they're not for renovations, they're for upkeep on assets that we presently have that have come to the end of their useful life. As a matter of fact, we've extended their useful life. At this point now, we're living on borrowed time on a few of our assets. So it's getting,
So this is catch up then?
pardon me?
This $400,000 on the Mono Center is a catch-up expenses of $400,000?
Yes.
It's actually an HVAC replacement. It's a
Because between the two of
heating and
them.
air conditioning,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Seems like big numbers to me, that. But,
It is big number.
okay.
Yeah.
But the equipment needs to be replaced.
It's $323,000. Yes.
Anyone else? Elaine?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I just want to make the statement that many documents that we're asking questions about have been presented to council, and they are rich with information that will really help people understand what our investments are in our future and why we have those large numbers for investing in the assets of the town. And I think it would be very beneficial for people who are interested in understanding what these expenses are, as the good people are here tonight asking questions. That information is in the capital budgets, it's in the asset management plan. And so those are documents that are very, very useful in the detail to help you see what it is we require for funding this budget every year and for into the future. So I would encourage people to have a look at those. And then if they see anything in them, to bring those questions forward as well. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Yes, we just had a presentation recently on our this state of our asset management, and the province requires us to have an asset management plan, which we do, and it points to the value of our assets and indicates what kind of condition they're in, and gives us a blueprint as to where we should be considering replacing them. Obviously, that then brings us to our balancing act. If we did everything in the asset management plan, we would be looking at something less than 10%, I believe, going forward, simply to satisfy the content of the asset management plan for the foreseeable future. Now, obviously, we have to make those hard decisions. But the assets of the town are in pretty good shape, comparatively speaking. And when they're not, when a road is in poor shape, we hear about it and we have discussions about it. So, but I echo Elaine's suggestion that the asset management plan in particular and the roads needs study give us a really good roadmap to what we need to do over not simply the next year or two, but the next few decades, frankly.
Yeah, because the 75% of the budget is about transportation, and 75% of the assets are transportation. And so, the idea of, well, I'm not riding on that road, only people who use the road should be paying for it, It is a whole network that makes Mono, and the stuff has its end of life. The furnace does die, and you fix it or replace it. You fix it, it's going to cost a whole bunch of money. Replace it. That the same thing happens with our roads, and I know that Councillor Manchillo made some reference to that with respect to how to repair the roads, and that there are some economies that can be made by repairing them in a step fashion. And if you do it sooner, then, one little pothole, you fix it. If you don't fix the pothole gets bigger and you get more of them, and then it's the base, and then you got to rip out the whole road to fix it, and so on. So there's a constant need for managing and spending money on our assets, and that's really where the money goes when you look at it. It's our roads and structures.
Thank you. Anything else before I wrap up this portion of the meeting? I'm not seeing any hands. Again, feel free to contact us before our next budget discussion. Any comments all comments are welcome, and this will give you a chance to maybe go back and look at the materials that we have online, the budget itself, and the asset management plan and the roads needs study. So please feel that this is an interactive discussion that can go forward. Thank you for...
I wonder, the idea of just kind of looking at all these little numbers without any conversation is kind of tricky too. And we've had a couple of really good meetings to watch our videos, where there's discussion and questions asked and staff answering our questions and so on. And so I might also turn the public to actually having a cup of tea and watching one of the videos on YouTube from our previous meetings to get that full debate, discussion, questions answered part.
Yeah. The last meeting of council would be highly recommended, because I think we deal with asset management in that, yes. And we also deal with budget. So the last meeting, it was a long meeting. It was something like 6 hours, I believe, but well worth it. Certainly the budget portion. Thank you. You're welcome to stay. We have another matter that we must attend to, a presentation.
Well, first we have the Shelburne.
But, correct, we have the Shelburne Fire budget. So draft budget, would our reps like to say anything about the draft budget?
Well, it's again a case of, costs are up, but most importantly, it's the staff training that still continues and in adding more staff. They've had 2 new recruits, and we've got 2 more coming that make it so that there is an increase to the budget. Last year, you'll recall that we had started to decide to recognize that the fire hall needs some money, and so there was some money put aside for reserves for a future. And in the end, when the budget was higher, it was decided that we would take that money out of reserves and put it back in towards the functioning budget. So the draft, I think the draft shows 10%, but we've come down to 8%. I think but I think the one that's here is the first draft. Right?
Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
And I just point out, if I may, that one of the reasons our costs are going up is our number of calls. It continues to increase. I think we're going to hit over 400 calls this year. We're aiming for that, so that's why we're adding some more staff.
Thank you. I don't have a motion to receive the Shelburne budget. Should we be doing that? or-
We haven't been receiving other budgets unless there's been a particular request from the agency. So this was just
for
information.
Okay. Les?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to point out, on the Shelburne budget, Deputy Mayor Nix sent us an email that the capital, instead of the 545 you see on the cover page of the budget, has been reduced to 445. So this page needs to be updated. So the very first column, it's a little confusing, the 3 requested columns for 2026, but just looking at the first column, where the 13.78% includes that extra 100,000, it's actually 7.4, just to let council know. So it's gone down with that $100,000. So it just needs to be updated, the next draft.
Yeah, that's the 100,000 that we had put aside for and one of these feasibility studies on what can we do with the fire hall, not even putting money in the piggy bank for the future fire hall. It was all just for a study, which now we're not going to spend the money on, so we put it back in. But then the conversation got going a little bit further after we had accepted the budget, and there is a training element that is newly discussed, because Rosemont started with it, and some of the other firefighters around, increasing. So on the one hand, the fire calls are going up, but on the other hand, there's movements and new arrangements to potentially make the call numbers go down, because there's going to be a tiered response with respect to medical. Instead of having the firefighters go to everything, there's going to be a hold on that, so that the paramedics will go and only the firefighters if they're needed. So presumably, the number of calls will go down. But by the same token, we also are in a situation where we don't have huge paramedics out here, paramedic stations everywhere. And so it does kind of behoove us to have our firefighters paramedically trained.
Yeah, just to expand on that.
So there was some choices to be made as, do you want them to be really trained, or do you want to be partially trained, or do you want to stay status quo? And everybody is kind of moving up their medical training.
And the reason we did that, our firefighters are going to be trained to, I can't pronounce the full name, but it'll be level 2 of medical assistance. And Melinda probably knows more about that than I do. But the reason we're going for that increased training is all our firefighters from Orangeville have that training now. our firefighters from Rosemount have that training. So to be fair to all the residents of Mono, so that all our residents get the same level of service, we want the Shelburne firefighters trained to that level of service too.
Right, so the budgets came in at almost 14%, went down to, oh yeah, great, it's going to be around 8%, and then oops, it's going to be up a little bit. So the actual final number is probably going to be somewhere around 10. But again, if you look, that's 10%.
9.2.
Why is, how many? 9.2. So why is it, but if we actually look at the cost, the actual real dollar amount is not that big, because Mono, our contribution, our value for the Shelburne Fire Department is good value. So it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars out of 13%, or 9.2%.
Anything further on the Shelburne budget? Okay, that brings us to the delegation. We're only 15 minutes late. Welcome. If you could just press the button on the...
Good evening. My name's Matt Pasner, and I'm one of the senior engineers and vice presidents with RJ Burnside Associates. So I'm here to talk to you guys today about the water environmental assessment, class environmental assessment that's being undertaken. And we've got a little bit of a presentation for those. So this is just to give you guys a project update on what's happening, where we're at, and just to bring council and residents who are watching perhaps up to speed on what's going on. So to move it, oh, mouse. Okay, perfect. Full control. Okay, awesome. Maybe. There we go. Not too far. All right. That's better. Okay. So as you are likely aware, there are two drinking water systems currently in the town. So we have the Cardinal Woods system and the Island Lake system, and they operate separately at this time. And we've got the study area for the Class EA, which is going to be the entire drinking water system area for both of them, because there's the potential for both of them to be connected together as part of this, as I'll go through in a little bit. So the background on why we're doing the Class EA is back when the Island Lake drinking water systems and Cardinal Woods drinking water systems were put into production, the limit for arsenic was a concentration of 0.025 milligrams per liter. That was the Ontario Drinking Water Quality Standards, which we all have to follow, all municipal systems in Ontario. Well, things have changed, and as you can see, the federal government in 2006 lowered that limit to 0.01 milligrams per liter. And then the province went ahead and changed that here in Ontario in 2018. So since that time, we have done some arsenic removal pilot studies because we do have some issues up in the Island Lake system that I'll speak about on the next slide. And since then, we started some field investigations in 2024, last year and this year, and the EA commenced this year and hopefully will be finished next year. So the concern that we have is compliance, but the fifth well is not. So one of the wells that's connected to Coles is got arsenic that is just at the limit. So at some point in time, we've measured just above 0.01 milligrams per liter, and some of the times is right below. So in 2017, the town had made the decision on the recommendation of the operating authority in Burnside to take that well out of service. So since late 2017, I think we did it just before Christmas, that well has been out of service and we've lost that water capacity. The other four wells in the Island Lake area are above half MAC, so they're above the 0.05, but they're below the 0.01. So they're in about the 6 to 8.5 milligram per liter range at times. So they don't require anything more than testing. So the MECP, the Ministry of Environment, Conservation, Parks, just requires the town to do a little bit more monitoring, and that's what we have been doing. The arsenic levels tend to fluctuate, and they may increase over time. We can't say as we start pulling more and more water through the ground, the arsenic may increase. We are monitoring it and haven't seen it gone up that much so far, but it's only been a few years, and groundwater takes time to go. So where we're left with is the MECP has asked the town to take a look to see what we're going to do, because we had to take the one well out of service with high levels of arsenic. So we've started the municipal Class CA study, and that's just an environmental process that's legislated here in Ontario to figure out how are we going to solve the issue. So we believe that this is likely a Class or Schedule B project, and we're through the process right now. We've done a lot of the field work. We've issued the notice of commencement and starting to prepare the report, which will hopefully be done early next year. So as part of that, the problem and our opportunity statement that we're looking at, I'll just read it off here, is as a result of the changing provincial standards for arsenic concentrations in potable water, the town of Mono has identified a need to reevaluate its water supply to reduce its reliance on raw water supplies with arsenic concentrations that exceed half of the maximum allowable concentration limits, with consideration of planned and approved growth in the town. So the approach that we're trying to undertake right now is basically threefold. The first is to either remove arsenic from the raw water supply using some type of water treatment technology. The second is to find another raw water supply that does not have arsenic in it to replace what was removed. And the third is to find a raw water supply from a neighboring or different municipality. So those are the three options that we have, is either find a new well or new supply that has less arsenic in it, treat the water and create a water treatment plant up in the Island Lake area, or the third is to connect to a neighboring municipality that may have additional supply that doesn't have arsenic in it. The preferred alternative might have a combination of these solutions, and it'll likely have to be implemented in a staged approach, just like the asset management discussions you guys were having during the budget. This is something that would have to likely happen in steps over time. So the alternatives that we're looking at are as follows. The ministry requires us to put do nothing as one of the alternatives, but that likely isn't something that the town can do. The second is to provide arsenic treatment. The third is to drill some new wells and potentially connect the Island Lake drinking water system and the Cardinal Woods drinking water system together, which has some added advantages and benefits. And the fourth one, is to connect the Island Lake drinking water system to a nearby non-mono water system. Yeah, go ahead.
Just after that budget meeting and some of the things people say about why is the do nothing not an option here?
The do nothing is not an option because we've taken raw water supply offline. The town is in need of it to be able to handle its long-term commitments.
But is it? I mean, are we going to be growing at that place? I mean, if we get any growth, that'll be the treatment place that would draw on?
I can answer Mike and he can, or Matt, you can. So the town has commitments in the Island Lake area, and we have to provide what's called firm capacity. So when you take one of the other wells out of service, which is the larger well in Island Lake, we have to be able to provide supply to meet the maximum day demand. So usually it's on the hottest day of the year to all the current users, plus those that the town have committed to. So there may be some users right now that are not connected, that we are committed to, that we have to provide firm capacity. And right now, with the one well out of service, we won't be able to do that over the long term.
So Matt, if you could complete your presentation, because Councillor Capes has to leave at 8:30.
Okay, and then we can take questions?
That's the entire thing, but we'll continue with you.
Hit her hand up. She did,
Okay. So, important findings to date. So the findings that we found to date so far is an additional water supply would be needed for alternatives that include treatment. Treatment likely be filtration or removal process. And the reason for that is you have to have backwash or reject from the water supply that gets rid of the heavily concentrated arsenic. So depending on what technology it is, you could lose up to 50% of the water that you're trying to treat or higher. So you have to increase the supply to be able to make more potable water without arsenic. So that's something that we have to do if it goes the treatment route. So additional water supply would be needed no matter what if we did put a water plant in, a water treatment plant for arsenic. The other thing is additional raw water supply with lower concentrations of arsenic are being evaluated. They're more in the other area of town, but there is some supply that looks like it has very low concentrations of arsenic that could potentially be utilized. And those field investigations are underway, and we are going to include that in the study that's being conducted. And an update on the project, so we're about 65% complete the municipal Class EA process. We have developed that opportunity statement. We've identified the alternatives that will be reviewed and evaluated. We are undertaking the preliminary evaluation of alternatives, which was submitted in a tech memo to staff, and we are completing a significant amount of field investigations and issuing the subsequent tech memos that go through the findings. The public notice was issued a couple weeks ago, both in the local paper, town's social media and website, and mail-outs were made to the required individuals / organizations. And the municipal Class EA assessment is supposed to be completed next year. That's what we're projecting, sometime early in the new year. And the next steps that we have after that to continue with the process is we will prepare and submit a project file report, which is required. We will issue the notice of completion, which then opens up that 30-day potential order period for the minister to bump it up to a Schedule C if they wanted. And an implementation phase would then follow afterwards, because hopefully the EA will outline what the solution is to the town, and then you have to move into the design phase, the approvals, procurement, construction, before we can get the solution up and running. So that, in the end, is basically the study and the update that I had, and I'm more than happy to take questions.
Okay. I'm going to defer to Elaine.
Sure.
Because she has
to go.
leave. Do you have any questions, Elaine?
Yeah, thank you very much. So thank you for the presentation. That's great. What I want to understand is we have to provide water to those we've committed to versus the current users. So who else have we committed water to? I didn't understand that.
So presently in the Island Lake system, there's vacant commercial lands that are available for development in the Coles subdivision. There's also a parcel of land just on First Line, a smaller parcel of land. The commitment there is, the biggest part of this is the fact that well two is offline right now. While we still have redundancies, our redundancies are starting to disappear. If there's another well that fails, we start to run at a position that Mono's never put itself in, which is being redundant on our services, the ability to provide a service. The extension into the Cardinal Woods system is the opportunity for a aquifer that does not contain arsenic, and the commitments over there are in the Aragon lands, and the EA is actually starting to draw some good residential and landowner conversations that are currently on private wells.
Okay, thank you very much. And then just one more thing about, this 30-day period for order requested by the minister, and it could go to us, I think you said Schedule C. Well, I don't even know what that means.
Schedule C is just a more intensive EA process, and there are a few requirements that some select groups could ask the minister to bump it up. We believe a Schedule B is where we need to be, and that's what we're completing right now. But it's a process that every EA has to go through. It's a 30-day period.
Fred?
Well, I'll say it out loud, given the current climate downtown, they don't even care about the environment, so I doubt that they'd ask to make it any more intense.
Yeah, here's my comment. I'll take everything you've said, and that's great that we have some water without arsenic over in Cardinal Woods, but what surprises me is those wells over at Cardinal Woods are one of the few places in Ontario when we did the studies, that's under a water quantity threat. And in fact,
Right.
as a result of that, the 4 municipalities that draw from the Guelph-Annabelle Aquifer had to sign an agreement, that's East Gary, Amaranth, Mono, and Orangeville, that if certain thresholds were reached, we had to redo that study. And that's being done just now as we speak. And so my question is, before your results are finalized, don't we have to wait to find out what the latest models show about the water quantity threat in those Cardinal Woods wells?
The modeling includes the new well source. The information has been provided, I believe. Mike, that's correct?
Deputy Mayor, we worked with Dwight Smichael
Yep.
from Burnside, Matt's co-partner,
So what you're saying is the modeling that they're doing right now on the water quantity threat would include the potential water from that test well they drilled in the Klondike
the
pit?
Klondike well, and they're also well aware of the potential for development on the Aragon lands.
Oh, for another well there.
No, for that development to move forward,
Yeah, which would be.
dependent upon the
another well.
applicant, right?
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that your analysis, okay.
the modeling's-
It surprises me, given that, I know the modeling was, the last time they did it 10 years ago, was extremely, extremely conservative. But nevertheless, having said that, we were told, you got a water quantity threat, you got to be careful. And here we go doing another test well in Klondike, and now we're thinking of hooking up the Cardinal Woods wells to the Island Lake wells, and it just surprises me. But that's great if we can do it.
Yes, I believe we gave them a flow rate. They've reduced it through the modeling by a few liters a second is what they're recommending, but they have been included, the modeling results. I think we're just waiting for the final report, and it will be included as part of the documentation that we're using for the Class CA.
Ralph and then Melinda?
Yep.
I think there's a rumor out that they may change the downgrade, down the level of acceptable MAC again. Is that right?
There is a rumor. There was a public consultation done by Health Canada at the federal level, and that was done March, April of this year. And we don't know what the findings are yet, and they haven't made a recommendation at the federal level. But I can say that it was reduced back at the federal level in 2006, and Ontario didn't follow through until 2018, 12 years later. So we will have some time, I believe. It'll probably move a little bit quicker this time, but Ontario will probably move 5 to 10 years afterwards to bring it down.
When you mention a water treatment plant, are you referring to a specific water treatment for arsenic, or are there a number of possibilities?
It would be a treatment primarily for arsenic, but as part of it, it would likely take out some of the other constituents in the water that are metals related, such as iron and manganese.
So the treatment to remove arsenic, there's only one treatment that's available, right? And you mentioned a reject of water. What is done with that?
So the reject of water is the challenge that we have up in the Island Lake system because you don't have a full treatment facility, wastewater plant. So it would likely have to either have some type of treatment facility put up there or put into a tank and hauled away on a regular basis, depending on what the treatment is, or a connection to a neighboring municipality that will allow access to that.
Well, the water levels in Island Lake are way down. Linda?
They'd be highly concentrated with arsenic. That wouldn't be allowed, but yes.
Thank you. So, I mean, the idea, this all fluctuates, right? It's all underneath the ground and stuff fluctuates. I mean, that's what, yes, we're in a pickle because the Health Canada or whatever decided that it's too much, so make it lower, and now we're going to lower it again and everything. But it actually is a fact that it fluctuates in the water, the amount, anyway.
It fluctuates over time, but it's been steady in the Island Lake system between 6 and 10, 0.06 to 0.01, or 0.006 to 0.01, or I could say in micrograms per liter, 6 to 10. Most of the wells, as we said, are in the 6 to 8.5, but it's just that one well at Coles that seems to be testing above 10 at times, which has been taken offline.
Right, and still offline for now 7 years, right?
Correct.
8, 7. You said 2017 or 2018?
Yeah, we're coming up to 8 years
The end of the,
next.
yeah, right?
Yep, at the end of the year.
So, and in that 8 years, also stuff changes with respect to the flow, right? The aquifer even, I mean, it's not necessarily goes by weather or whatever, but it does fluctuate, right? So it's all modeling. It's all, we could be in a pickle in 20 years too, right? You never
Correct.
know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, go ahead.
You mentioned early on there, pulling water from the ground as if that somehow or other affects the arsenic level.
So water is moving through the aquifer, which is a bunch of rock, and as the water moves through, it's picking up different metals and constituents that are in it, like iron, manganese, arsenic. So over time, you could get a little bit more coming up, is what we're seeing. Same with some of the other metals at times. It really depends on the flow and how much is being pulled towards each well, and is the difference that we're seeing. So yes, over time, there could be increases, but we've seen it pretty steady as of late.
So you're as an engineering project, will we be getting any costing at the end of this?
Any costings part of it?
Costing of the various options?
There will be high-level costing, yes. Yeah.
High cost of cost.
That's actually what I was gonna, I remember
High cost and high-level cost, yes. Yeah.
when we did the loop extent of the line along Highway 9, that was like $1 million, right? So I'm just trying to think, hooking up Island Lake with Cardinal Woods, what would you do, go along Highway 9 and up Highway 10? I don't know, but that's gonna be expensive, isn't it?
So, yes, so as I've spoke to, I've spoke to council with respect to our grant that's funding this, the initiation start of this. We've had conversations with the province about extending that grant, and also we will be highlighting that the grant provided at the beginning of this project in when did we get the grant?
A couple of years ago.
2021. The cost to do any works on this has significantly changed, and the complexity of the problem is very complex in the absence of a regional wastewater solution.
Complexity of the problem is very complex.
Yeah.
Got it, Mike.
But yes, to answer Councillor Mengtalo, as the solution, as we near the solution, there'll be, just like our bridges, just like our roads, we'll be asking Burnside to put together an estimate, and we're hoping that the federal budget allows for some new funding.
I'm presuming, though, another well is vastly cheaper than some sort of treatment plant.
That's what we are thinking in the long run here, and that's why it's taken a little bit longer just to see if there's actually water, waiting for the modeling that the councillor spoke about, things like that. So that's why the AA is taking a little bit longer than we probably thought of, but as we got further and further into it, it is a very complex issue. There's many different outcomes to look at, and we're trying to find what's most cost effective for the residents of the town.
I mean, I've taken the tour a couple times of our water. The actual physical wells that one is affected and the others are not, are very close to each other.
2 wells at Coles, that's correct.
So it's just luck that it's
What would the depth difference be in those?
Don't have that
I think
off
they're
the-
definitely
different
drawing
depths.
from a different
Yep.
vein
Yeah.
in the rock formation. Similar to Cardinal Woods, we have different depths, so.
Yeah.
That's the caution and concern, is how I think you're thinking right now, Councillor Davy, is yes,
And we did do some work to try to seal up both wells where we thought the arsenic was coming out, and it did help with one of the wells, but it did not help with that other one. So the well company came in, and if you think of it like a straw, we're getting water coming from different sections. We found through some testing that one of the sections was pulling a lot of the more arsenic, so we were able to seal that section up and just get the water from a little bit deeper, and we were doing pretty well, but it didn't work in both of the wells. It just worked in one of them. Yeah.
Are we unique, or are other municipalities facing the same issue? I gather Shelburne's got a bit of an arsenic.
Shelburne is one of the other ones. There are a few municipalities through Ontario, but it's a smaller amount. Not a lot of municipalities have this issue, but there are some, yes.
Was this maybe why they waited till 2018 to, I mean, maybe did they know? So when the government, like, did they know that, I mean, right, because the geology is what you're
Yes,
saying, right? And
correct.
it's different. I mean, just because Ottawa says do something, it's different in PEI than it is in wherever. And so maybe they knew that there were other people, or there were a lot of people here where we've got the shield or whatever.
If they drop the limit again to what they're proposing, which is half, I think it's 0.05, there'll be several dozen municipalities or more in Ontario that's going to have challenges. Yeah,
Going to have a bearing on their decision.
yeah.
I think probably the most egregious arsenic that I'm aware of is in Yellowknife, as a byproduct of gold mining.
Yeah.
Literally mountains on the exterior. This I saw in the 60s, so I don't know what they've done with it. But mountains of yellow arsenic just piled outside for the elements to take care of.
So one of the things I'd like to point out is right now the arsenic concentrations are within limits. The water is safe to drink up in the Island Lake system, because I know ever since we've put the notice out, there's been some calls, but because we did take off that one well and it was just right at the limit, there isn't any issues, so the public should not be concerned.
Okay. Good, thank you. Anything else, folks?
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're
and-
welcome.
And thank you for the indulgence of 15 minutes for our budget.
And an 8 PM meeting too, like you could have.
It's more than all right. I'm a resident as well of the town, so,
Are you?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
So it's no issue at all.
Did you
About the budget.
have a comment on our tax increase?
I think we can't keep going low. We all know, I do a lot of the engineering for the water side across the various municipalities, and if we continue going with low budgets, it's just going to affect the town. As we all know, if you just keep kicking the can down the road, as one of the other residents said, it's just going to end up costing us all more in the long run. So even if we do find some savings, the capital reserves will have to go up. I think I work with a lot of communities across Canada, and the projects are just getting more expensive. Like, the price tag I think you guys are going to see at the end of the ZA, you're probably going to fall off your chairs, right? But that's turning to everything. Everything is getting a lot more expensive. Like, when I started 24 years ago out of university, a water plant was like $5 million. Now they're 3, 4, 5 times that amount, right? It's going up faster, so yeah, the reserves need to go back up, and we need to have a decent increase and keep going, because it has been low for the last 10, 15 years, other than last year, when it got raised quite a bit, is my thoughts, but as a
Well,
resident.
that's not, that was raised, but it wasn't adding the reserves, right? And
It's
that's the problem, that if we postpone doing something today, not only does the price go up, but you also don't have any reserves.
Exactly.
We have a fire truck at the Shelburne Fire Department, the ladder truck that cost about $1.1 million 14, 15 years ago. And we're estimating the replacement cost is close to $3 million.
Yeah. So,
On that happy note.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your input.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, very, very welcomed.
Okay.
Thank you. So I see on our agenda, we have reports of members of council and staff. Do staff have anything of urgency to address? There is that.
I put it on because we skipped it last meeting.
Yeah.
Just a couple things for council. Matt and I will be meeting with Brookfield this week as a follow-up to the petition that council's had last week, and we'll be trying to assemble a letter for the residents inserted into the water bill before the end of the year.
And did I see that the Brookfield issue is now part of our scroll bar on the website?
There definitely is a response for odor that was there. I just don't know if it was on the scroll. Every time Matt gets some updated information on changes, Andrew, I believe, posts it, and we've been trying all along to keep everybody in the know.
Ironically, after our meeting, the delegate got in touch with me and said, I don't know what happened, but it is really bad today. So they're obviously doing something down there.
So John, if you could just impress upon the delegates to contact the town, like, because we're not getting that message.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, it's just, if it doesn't get to us, and we just think it's good, right? So.
Okay.
Could I just report that I was at a Credit Valley meeting on Friday? I'll be doing a fuller report in a day or two, but we are going to be asked to comment on Bill 68, which is the bill that's amalgamating 36 conservation authorities down to 7. The Credit Valley is going to send me some draft material that municipalities can use. I would just point out that one of the things that really affects the town of Mono, because the minister said when they were going to amalgamate these conservation authorities, some municipalities have up to three conservation authorities serving them, and by amalgamating, we'll eliminate duplication. Well, in the redrawn maps, we're still going to have 3 conservation authorities serving us, only they're going to be much, much, much bigger, and we probably won't even have a seat on any of their boards.
Will be an
So,
afterthought.
yeah, anyway, I'll be bringing some material, hopefully for the, maybe we have a 45-day comment period. Hopefully I'll have it here for the next council meeting. The draft comment, okay? Fred?
Thanks for triggering that, Bill 68. I'm working to prepare a response to Bill 60,
Yes.
which is November 22nd. So I'll probably give a draft or get that out to council, but it'll be in line with Watson's and Ontario municipalities release some. So we'll be looking at, but I'm working with legal on that a little bit.
Insofar as Bill 60 is concerned, don't forget the development charge component, which is particularly alarming, that development charges will be payable upon occupancy as opposed to at the time of getting a building permit. I mean...
Don't even understand how that's going to be
I don't
trackable, how we're going to find the builder. I don't even understand how that works.
Yeah.
I somewhat understand it, but I think the mechanism to the solution is definitely not something the municipalities will be easily managed by us to collect that at the occupancy stage.
Maybe the building permit fee should go up to an amount that essentially tries to collect the TC.
I do believe that some municipalities have raised their building permit fees.
Yeah, and we have as well. Yeah, the county has.
Very good.
Okay. Fred, anything else? Kim?
Since we are talking about playgrounds this evening, I just wanted to let council know that our Lynn Gibson Playground is officially open. It opened approximately 10 days ago. We had to have a third-party inspection done on it, as you do with all new playground installs, to make sure that you meet all current CSA standards and that your surfacing meets critical fall height testing. I'm happy to let you know that we passed with flying colors, and as soon as we got that pass, we took the fencing down. The only thing we have left to do up there is to plant some grass seed or some sod. We're just deciding on what we're going to do in that regard, just to finish off some of the final landscaping around it. But really pleased to let you know that it is open. I encourage you to go and take a look at it. to see what you do get for $250,000. We were very fortunate in having a grant for $64,500 from the Ontario Trillium Foundation towards that playground, which certainly helped. So I just want to say thank you to council for letting that project go forward, because I'm sure the residents up in the Island Lake area are going to truly enjoy it.
Linda?
I don't think I have any. I'm just ticking along, seeing going to all the meetings and things of all the committees that I'm on, and I don't think there's any big news. We've had a bunch of recreation activities. The senior superstars things, if anybody wants to come to guitar lessons, free guitar lessons are starting on Thursday in the morning, weekly, which is a terrific idea.
You'd have to be a senior to attend.
The seniors, yeah, I think you might qualify, Deputy Mayor, but I don't know. And the library, Shelburne Library is having all sorts of programs going on. Yeah, I think that's all I got to report.
Ralph?
NBCA is discussing at the next meeting the new agency and how that's going to fit in. I sent around a document that came from Conservation Ontario, which was kind of hard to understand, and maybe the AI generative summary is a little bit more useful. Pardon?
You sent that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you sent that. It was good. The AI just generates all this.
Sometimes it's helpful. I don't think, the monopollinary garden is closed for the season in terms of work, but people will continue to wander through during the year. We're having as we have for many years, a Christmas party. This time will be at my place on the 6th of June. 6th of December, and I actually sent the invitation out 6th of June, and somebody wrote back and said they were busy. Anyway, the other issue I wanted to know if, Fred, do you want to develop a committee to do the interviews for the advisory committee? Advisory, I should say, for the Climate Change Action Committee?
Yes, so the application period closed on Friday for the various committees, including the new Climate Action Committee, and Council had said that they're looking to strike an interview committee as per the terms of reference for the Climate Action Committee that they thought would consist of 2 members of council, 1 member of staff. Any 2 people from council want to put their hands up to be on that committee now? That's 1.
John wants
I don't need to be on it. I defer to members of council.
I would volunteer, but I confess I'm not good at this sort of thing. So if I ask dumb questions, but if you want me, Ralph, I'll help out.
So, now, if it helps, the last time council struck a committee like this for the Committee of Adjustment, it was your worship and 1 other member of council, in that case, Councillor Davey. So, just.
I think his worship is a very good choice.
John, you want to do it then?
I don't need to do it. Melinda, I think you were hoping to do it, as I recall.
Well, I was, but that's fine. You can do it.
I nominate you.
So, all right, did we get any applications? This is the key thing.
Some good ones, some good ones.
Got some, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do it.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a short report on something that has come up that you may be getting phone calls about, and that is the conversion from blue box over to the very large blue bin. And this has been mandated by the provincially. It's not a provincial agency so much as it's an organization that has been created as a result of the province is looking at recycling, called circular materials. And circular materials is in the process of distributing quite large bins to every household in Dufferin. There was no consultation with the county. There was no discussion with anyone. It was simply, you're going to get these bins by the end of November, and they're going to start picking them up 1st of January. There are many municipalities, especially in York Region, who are up in arms about this because of long driveways, elderly residents who will be struggling to move these things around, and the fact that one size apparently fits all, according to a bureaucrat somewhere south of 401. This is, I've raised it twice at County Council, expressing my dismay and concern. Mayor Post did the same thing at the last council meeting. She's written a letter that we've endorsed at county, basically saying, let's have a discussion here. So there is going to be a discussion tomorrow morning. All of the mayors and Councillor Post are meeting with somebody from Circular Materials online. And one of the other issues that is arisen is in other places that have received their bins sooner than we will, is that people start using them right away. But they're not going to be picked up until January 1st. So the whole thing is a bit of a mess. I just wanted to put that on everybody's radar.
I'd just like to comment. I think that it's really a mistake. We've got people with huge driveways. I know somebody with a 2,000-foot driveway.
Yeah.
It won't fit in their car.
Mm-hmm. I know.
It's just not doable.
You have to leave it at the,
Push it down the driveway.
you have to leave it at the street, I'm figuring.
Yes,
Leave
you
it
do.
down at the street, and then take your recycling physically down there, and drag it out. In which case, are they going to be, the snow plowing and theft in some areas, or the wind and all sorts of things?
That's what's done in Caledon. Some places they have them at the street and people just.
And,
I think it's a done deal. They're all sitting over at the transfer station right now.
That's what I've heard.
Really?
Yep.
And, it just adds to the unsightliness of the town when we are storing bins at our gates because we can't get them.
Well, it's not just the gate. I mean, that's one thing, the gates, but it's all the urban settings are like that. All your garbage and everything is, have a little postage stamp, and it's just the garbage.
I'm surprised at the blowback that Lisa Post has received from residents in Orangeville who have, a 20-foot driveway, and even they are saying, why can't we get a smaller bin? Why do we have to have this gigantic bin? There is one suggestion, and I'm expecting they're going to raise this tomorrow, that, we'll start out with the big bins and then we'll swap them out later on, which just strikes me as being a waste of time and money, but they've apparently floated that idea in York Region.
Well, it's all about the arms on the automated truck, right? And so you have to, I guess, have a fancier truck if it's able to change that way too, as opposed to just coming along and picking up all the same bins.
Which begs the question about a smaller bin, whether or not the arms are
Yeah.
adjustable.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my report.
Okay.
So I have a motion, any new business, anything else? I have a motion that we introduce and give the necessary readings to a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Council of the Town of Mono in session 20-2025 held on the 18th of November 2025, that it be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover for that? Melinda moves, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any opposition? Seeing none, passes. Motion that we adjourn this meeting at 8:58 p.m. Moved by Councillor Davies, seconded by Deputy Mayor Nix. No opposition? And we're done. Thank you.